If you think that the MCU has no good villains outside of Loki, prepare to have your mind. I hear a lot of grumblings on the internet, watching YouTube videos, reading posts, reading articles that really state that Marvel, the MCU, does not have any good villains outside of Loki. Well, I actually think that's wrong. This past year, we had possibly my favorite villain in any of the Marvel movies, and that was Zemo. I know you're saying Zemo. I hear all these things on the internet. All of my friends talk about how Zemo was possibly, in their opinion, the worst villain, that everything had to be so coincidental. Everything had to just line up. How did he know that this was going to happen and this was going to happen? And all these things had to fall into place just for his plan to work, to get Captain America and Iron Man there with the Winter Soldier in the facility so Tony can see the video. Well, that right there is a complete misconception of what actually Zemo's plan was. Yeah, everything there seemed very coincidental, but when you break it down, when you see what really happened, the steps that had to follow to get there, you see how this plan came into place. See, Zemo didn't want all that stuff to happen. It was never Zemo's plan to frame the Winter Soldier, to blow up the Sokovia Accords, to get them all there in one place. His plan was very simple: to find the Hydra Black Book, the book that contained all the secrets, that held all the knowledge that he could use to set Tony Stark against the rest of the Avengers. I mean, he even told the Hydra agent, "Tell me what happened December 16, 1991, or I'm going to have to use this book to do terrible things." Now, if the guy would have just given him the information, if that guy would have just told him, "Yeah, we sent a Winter Soldier out there to obtain the secrets that Hal Stark had and to eliminate all witnesses," it would have been a very simple thing of him going to the base that the guy told him where all the info was at, sending an email, and then Tony Stark questioning Captain America. "Hey, did you know about this?" And then that's where the fight ensues. It was about breaking them down from the inside out by whatever means that took. And when the Hydra agent refused to give him the information, he had to use the book to do things that he didn't want to do. Instead of going out and finding the unfindable man, you bring the unfindable man to you. And that's where we get the perfect thing of the Sokovia Accords. The Sokovia Accords are going on. It's the biggest event in the world. All of the Avengers are going to be there. All the heroes of the world are going to be there. All the world leaders. You blow it up. You frame the Winter Soldier. They go out. They find him. They bring him to you. And as far as getting Tony Stark there with Captain America, that just happened to be a happy coincidence. All he needed to do was take that file with the video on it and email it to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark would have had the same reaction. Tony would have gone after Steve Rogers. He would have gone after Bucky Barnes. He would have gone after them on his own. He didn't have to need to be there for it all to go down, for it all to happen. It was just, that was one of those happy coincidences. Hey, everyone's here who I needed. Does that make him a bad villain? Does that make him a lame villain? Absolutely not. It makes him a strategic genius. It makes him someone who didn't need to fire one bullet on his own. He didn't need to lay one strike against Captain America. The beauty of Zemo was that he didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to raise an army. He didn't have to blow up their headquarters. All he had to do was release a videotape and have them destroy each other. They talk about Zemo being a military badass, being somebody who was in charge of Sokovia security, Sokovia anti-terrorism. He was a trained soldier, a trained strategist. All he needed to do was play on the characteristics of the Avengers themselves: Tony Stark's grief and his arrogance, and Captain America's stubbornness and loyalty. These things will tear the Avengers apart. Now, am I completely bummed that I didn't get the Zemo that I wanted with the full-on purple mask and his little crown and the German accent? Yeah, I'm super bummed that I didn't get that. But what they did give us was a really actually fleshed out character that had depth, that had motive, that had opportunity, and most of all, had a freaking plan. What made Loki so great was he had a plan. Loki always has a plan. He always uses things to his own advantage. And if there happens to be a coincidence, he'll take it. And that's why Zemo was such a good villain, was because he didn't really need this whole huge plot line. All he needed to do was just be a small side note, to be so irrelevant that people don't even talk about him. And that way he can fade into the background. That way he can execute his plan, because nobody even notices he's there. What makes Zemo the best Marvel villain is the fact that you barely even notice him until the end. That he is there pulling all the strings, doing all the work in the background, and yet you still barely know he's there. He doesn't need to fire a shot. He doesn't need to throw a single punch to win. And he won. What he wanted, what he set out to accomplish, he won. He beat the Avengers. He did something that no one else was able to do before it. Not Loki, not anybody. And that was defeat the Avengers. And that is why Zemo is the best Marvel villain. Thank you so much for watching this. Hit like, share, and subscribe. What is your favorite Marvel villain? Leave it down in the comments. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Paul from the Nerds Inn, and join us later for more. And a special shout out to my cousin Demi for this awesome Doctor Strange poster that she got us.